Oh, I'll never forget David's comments. You didn't hit break even here. You didn't hit break even here. You didn't hit. There were 4 times he decided to point out to me, I didn't hit break.
I appreciate you coming, and yeah, let's go ahead and explain a little bit about your topic, why you picked it, and then of course about yourself.
All right, so about me. Let's get started a little bit. A little bit about myself. My name is Joshua Hunter. I've been trading since about 2019 with intermittent success, meaning I pretty much feast or famine, and quite honestly, I'm getting a little too old for that. And my goal this year is to level that out into consistency. Passion is in racing V8s. As you can see, an old pic of mine with my little Vista Blue Mustang. I have white racing stripes and red calipers on it. Red, white, and blue Mustang was a dream of mine back then that I actually achieved in my 20s. And I literally started a landscape company at 19 for the sole purpose of buying a Mustang. That was it. That's all I wanted.
Nice.
And I worked until I was 25, paid cash for her, and it kind of life went downhill from there. But let me tell you, that was a lot of yards that I cut. Also, a little bit patriotic and predatory to any car outside of the U.S., especially on track. Hence my aggressive categorization and trading, I suppose. But I also love breaking down doors to places that I've never been. Trading, for example, went from landscaping, here I'm trying to trade. And I really like to help others go through them if they want to go, take people with me. It's very important to me to give back. And I do believe 100% that if you have the power, you have the skills, or you have ability, then it is absolutely your job to protect those who can't or build those who can. So that's about me. Okay, that works. So why did I decide to talk about the hot seat and the things that I learned and implemented in there? In a single word, consistency, because that's my goal this year. And as I mentioned earlier, is for me, and since the hot seat, my numbers have started to really reflect that consistency for the month of January. And I figured this Wednesday night was an opportunity for me to give back a little bit of what I'd learned, and hopefully someone is able to use something from tonight and improve their own training. So I tried to sum it up into a few points. As you can see on the PowerPoint, what is the hot seat? Starting small, keeping the break even close, get out when the market tells you, and being comfortable in your positions and whatever that means to you. Hey, that's kind of cool. All right. So what is this thing, this hot seat? It's pretty much David's game zone. And I don't know if you can see what I did there graphically. See, it says David's game zone in the 3 sections. I thought that was really cool, and I'm not going to tell anybody how long that took me to figure out.
Nice. I love it.
That's awesome.
But anyway, this is where David basically works one-on-one with a trader like he did with me. And many of us, and see how they trade, provide help. It works with you real time for a couple hours. And then at the end, he has an idea of where you could improve as a trader and gives you challenges to complete based on that. These are every morning for a couple hours where you can really level up your trading in front of a group of people. So the mental game part and psychology, or your mental state rather, it's really important in trading, and it's very easily overlooked. So we focus on indicators as traders, especially coming in new. It's like there's a magic 8-ball out there. There's a magical indicator. There's a magic line on the chart that's going to work for us, right? And we go through indicator strategies, price action, whatever, to clue us in where the market's going. But we really forget to work on ourselves through this process. And that is really the most important part. So like even when I was in racing, I built a better suspension, I built a better motor, I built a better brake, yada, yada, yada. But all the building I did to the car, it wasn't until I built myself as a driver that I started winning races consistently. And the same concepts in trading. We don't profit consistently until we build ourselves. So of course, there's always tricks to learn, and such, but really understanding yourself is where you will find your power in the market. And that's kind of what I saw in the hot seat. Humans in general, we really can't comprehend the negative. Like, it is impossible for us for some reason. And sorry, I just lost a tree. Well, there's going to be some work in the morning. Where was I? I was saying we really can't comprehend the negative, right? So what I mean by that is if I tell you, do not think of a giant rooster. Yeah, how many of you literally just pictured a giant rooster in your head right now? And that's just humans. It's just how we are, right? So we gotta be aware of that. And so, like in car racing, and I associate a lot to car racing because I have a lot of history there. But if I'm racing at 200 miles an hour around the track in a Mustang, and I think, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, don't hit the wall, that's gonna hurt, don't hit it. I hit the wall every damn time because that's what I'm looking at. That's where I'm focused. That's where my mind is. That's where my mindset is. So in trading, if you're always focused on the negative and you're reinforcing it to yourself saying, don't hit 1%, don't hit 3%, don't hit 5%, you just hit 5% every single time. So it's really your choice on how you choose to perceive your own success in this. You focus on what you want and you will get it eventually. And on the comfort zone part, the hot seat really allows for this because no one is comfortable trading in front of everybody. I really wasn't. I don't think I've seen anybody pop on there and just be at home. It's way out of the comfort zone. And the enemy of success everywhere in any industry itself is the comfort zone. You get stuck in it. You get complacent, but you have to get out of it. So here David provides for this hot seat thing, right? Take the challenges that he provides. Take the challenges he analyzes you with afterwards, after your hot seat session. Because you do what gets identified as a weakness from him and you make it a strength, or in the least, you may not make it a strength. You may find a way to mitigate it or to plan for that. But most importantly, you have to find a way to be held accountable to it, not just by the group or David, but really by yourself. So you can post your loss, you can post your success over in the Discord channel, solicit feedback from the group. And that's a great mechanism that's in place for that accountability. Tell a family member, tell a friend over a drink or whatever. And all these are good ways to hold yourself accountable. But making the follow through to accountability, that has to be done, or the value of everything that you did will pretty much just vanish and you won't have gained anything.
I really like what you said there, if I could just interject it. And I was going to ask you because, you've been trading for some time now. And so I imagine you've probably been through quite a bit of different styles of training, right? Or different traders. And probably already answered this, but I just kind of wanted to get maybe in a couple words your take of how do you feel, I guess, the hot seat have been different than other types of training that you've gone through, good or bad, right? But just kind of that different aspect.
So I'm an honest person. I kind of felt like it is. I'm hard-headed as hell. And when I'm doing it with other traders, for example, you can watch Sean. Sean's a great trader. You can watch him. You can watch Nate. You can watch, I have a series of people outside of APR that I've watched or tried to study under. When they take a teaching perspective and they say, okay, here's your homework, or here's what I did and I made $1 million, and you sit there and wipe your account because you're not quite making that connection like they are because they know their strategy and it's not yours. The hot seat was literally David one-on-one with me dealing with my stuff. And not just me trying to be Sean, for example, because we can all relate to Sean. And Sean gets excited. He gets 190 trades in about 3 minutes. We've got 50 tops and we risked out when we hit 25. And he's at 190, right? So that's kind of what I was talking about with the headspace and finding it when you've got a guy like David sitting there one-on-one with you, is you figure out how to be your own Sean. And it may not be his trading, his style, that sort of thing. It's yours. Did that answer the question?
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, for sure. I really love that. Being able to work on yourself, right? Just like you said.
Like getting up and sniffing. I was like, come on.
She smells something.
Oh, weird.
Somebody had beans.
Did you run somebody over?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, great answer. Again, and I think it's different for everybody, right? And so, no, and then we have to make it our own, right? And I agree with you. I think that's one of the unique things about the hot seat for sure.
And that really is what trading is. Any of us can pick up an indicator. We can YouTube it. We can study under somebody that's mastered it. But you've got to get your own trading style. Like even mine, I think even David's is he's taken from Sean. He's taken from other people. He's made it his own. He's created things like Ride the Wave, that sort of thing. When we're watching Sean or we're watching David or we're watching anybody, there's pieces in there that work for you that you can steal or borrow. We'll say borrow. And then you can make them your own in what makes it comfortable for you. And then being in the hot seat with what you've created, you've got somebody with the experience of David helping you fine tune that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is that better?
No, I love it. No, I mean,
okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so starting small. Oh, I lost my little. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's go through these. So when starting small, one of the things that really set me up for a hard trading day or a risk out, a hard trading day like last night, was really starting out too heavy. You need to take the time to do an analysis of the market on the 1 hour, on the daily, at least to see where the big boys are playing. And you mark those on your 5 minute and your 1 minute, especially if those lines or those prices are close. So you'll need to watch these zones and really not be heavy. Being aggressive myself, I would be too heavy too often and either start out or be working either stop out or be working all day just to manage the trade instead of profiting the whole time. I'm managing where I was started out too heavy. So for me, I have to have a strategy for the hour or so that I'm going to be trading. And typically what this means is I map out where my normal trading zone is. And I stole one of these from David. He's got where you can map out your normal trading zone, kind of in the middle of the price area. And where your light zones are above it and below it. And most importantly, where your get out point is. Identify that first. So you know about how many trades, about how much risk you can manage while you play out your plan. And right now, that is really as simple as I am in keeping my strategy. But I have stolen things like David's saying Cole's list. He presented a list a week or so ago of the techniques that he had. That is a great list to steal and add to. And the setups that he watches out for. And as the market gives you those, take advantage of them. If the market doesn't, then just trade your strategy that you planned out. Throughout the strategy, I'll try to use a lot of techniques such as wobble. Obviously, I mean, we're all wobblers. I'll try to set up for a ride the wave a couple of times. Half the time they'll fail, but that's okay. We got the wobble in our back pocket. Retracements I really capitalize on, and I'll pile heavy on those. But those are techniques within the strategy. They're not the strategy itself. And like I say, I would take advantage of things like Cole's list that he created and start your own and put on there what is it that you know and you use all the time. And I printed it out and I taped it over on the side of my desk so I can keep it in my head because I don't always remember them all. I don't always see them because I'm not that good yet. But seeing them on paper in front of me, I can watch the market, I can see them, and I'm like, oh wait, that's a retracement. That's a breakout. I can get it back to its price. And
good to have that there, right? Good to have that reminder, right? All the time.
It is because you in your headspace you get lost in the market, and especially as your chart starts shrinking in and you lose the bigger vision. You know, I think David telling everybody to expand it all the time so that you can see what you're doing. And it's the same concept. You've got all these tools up in your head that you don't remember that you have because you're so focused on this minute candle. But you put that stuff in front of you on a piece of paper, just kind of within your peripheral vision. Just as you get bored, you can glance at it every once in a while. When we get seconds of boredom in between, and that it'll bring it back to you, and you can be like, wait a minute, we're at a support. If it breaks, I can move my break even here. And this is just an example of one of the techniques. I can move my break even here. And how many trades am I going to need to do that? You can start planning that ahead and remember to do that until we get good enough that it's just like riding a bike.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Repetition.
Yeah. It's seat time on a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
with your system, sorry, just with your system, and you mentioned a great point, but I think it's just very well to articulate that seat time, right? I mean, because we all want to make money, we all want to be successful, but really having that seat time, right? Putting that in there is critical, right? Having that screen time for sure.
you have to have that. And I learned that a long time ago when I was racing. Yeah, I associate a lot of this stuff to that. But like one year I practiced every weekend for 10 to 12 hours a day, Saturday and Sunday, because I work Monday through Friday. So 10 to 12 hours on Saturday and 10 to 12 hours on Sunday, I would drive my car for about 8 months. And it was the seat time. It was purely the seat time. But because I did that, because I set my little butt down and did that for 8 months, 10, 12 hours a day on the weekend, I took the South Central National Challenge. Won it, lapped a Corvette 6 times in one event. He quit before noon.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't make these 14% days, 10% days, 3% days unless you sit down and you do it and you experience everything the market can throw at you. And I really think that's one of the reasons Sean in particular is so good. He's like, yeah, I've seen this before. Here's how it plays out. Yeah, I've seen this before. Here's how it plays out. And when nothing's a surprise.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to the next point, keeping that break-even point close. Here we go. Okay, so keeping that break-even close, and always keep that sucker close, like within one price cycle. Don't let it get 2 price cycles away. So while wobbling, you can take little pieces of candy out of the market, right? Little 2-pip pieces of candy. We can post that meme all the time. But as the price moves away from you, be sure to know always in your back pocket how many positions you have on and how many you're going to have to put on to pay for it at that next level if price doesn't come back. So as you go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3, you have to add more positions to pay for those losses as price moves away. Going more than 3 levels has rarely proved profitable for me. Like it becomes luck, hope and pray. I'm no good past 3 levels. And I run out of bullets. If you hit 4, 5, or 6 levels, you start running out of bullets. So really try to keep that break even within 1 price cycle. That is really important. And there's been a lot of discussion of peel off in the chat and that sort of thing. Here's an example where I will peel some positions so that I have bullets in case it continues to go against me to the next one. Nate, level the next price cycle. Yeah, you're trading within a consolidation. If it jumps out into the next one, you've got another level up there. Let's see. Getting out when the market tells you. That was really important. During my hot seat time, for example, I noticed one thing about myself in bias. And so I thought I'd point it out tonight. Once I settled on what I thought the market bias was, you go to the day, you go to the hour, whatever, and you look and you're like, oh, this is up. Once I thought I figured out the market bias and I based my setup analysis, I had a tendency to stick with it and not let go of it. And the market will change. And if you sit down long enough, a couple hours, the market's going to change on you. Its bias is going to change. And you need to listen to that. And so what I had to remember there is that when that market bias changes, I need to be flexible and change with it because the price action is going to tell you. It will absolutely tell you when it's changing. Of course, you have your personal bias, which really, then that's the part that I'm talking about that you need to change to match the market bias. And as I learned when I didn't get into enough positions to pay for my losses on the price cycle move back, because I didn't change it, I wanted to keep the losses and try again. The market may not allow that. The market may have just given you the one chance when it retraced to test that price. And then after it told you, I'm changing, I'm going another direction. You have to really recognize that when it happens, have enough positions to pay for it, and then change your bias so that you continue making money with the market.
How do you feel, I guess, how did the hot seat help you or make that shift, right? Or or to be okay with changing those biases.
Oh, I'll never forget David's comments. You didn't hit break even here. You didn't hit break even here. You didn't hit. There were 4 times he decided to point out to me I didn't hit break.
Wait, do I really sound like that in your head?
After the fact, yes.
Yes. And in the night, I mean dreams.
Wow, I am a nagging. I had nag. All right, that should tell me.
Well, no, you didn't nag. It was at the end. You were just kind of biting your lip as I was missing them with this look on your face. And then at the end, you were like, okay, you didn't do these break evens. But because of that, and because I was in front of all these people embarrassing myself by not doing what I'm supposed to do, right? Then every time I saw the break even, all I heard was, David, you need to get out there. Well, it worked.
Nice. Just kind of that accountability and repetition, right? Over and over.
It's what it is. But that's what we were talking about earlier. Man, when you're doing it one-on-one and it's just kind of a lesson thing or a dictation type interaction, you're off, you'll go on and trade on your own. It's not the same as experiencing it real time with the person trying to help you for 2 hours and you embarrassing yourself because you're not hitting break even 4 times and then getting an assignment afterwards that he wants to see. And it's a lot more effective.
Sure.
But the point of getting out when the market tells you is to really listen to what price action is telling you. The odds are that with price action, not your market, with price action, not your market analysis. So if price action is telling you the market has decided to change. Make a new market analysis, reset to 0, rinse and repeat that thing, whatever it takes. Sometimes I step away, especially if I'm mad. I put in 40 trades and I made 0.01% because I ended up being wrong. Even if you're slightly frustrated, take a break, take a 5-minute break, let the market reset, come back, do a new analysis of it in a new direction that the market's telling you, and let go of that previous bias you had. Taking those small losses now so that you can get back into the game is a lot more profitable at the end of the day. You may not see it right then when you take that hit, but you will see it at the end of the day when you're done.
I like that.
And action points, I really do love this concept. So you really need to know where your action points are. And these are the parts where there's like support and resistances or the turning points of a candle when you've got like a big candle and then it's gone down past it. In order to get your turn, you need for a candle to close above it. That's an action point. That's a turn. And depending on what the candle actually does, kind of depends on what you do, keep, sell, whatever it is that you want to do with your positions. But watch the candle as it approaches these action points. Hold them until it reaches them. Otherwise, you really end up cutting your profits short very often, especially if there's more than 3 or 4 pips in between and you can easily take them. And you basically have those 2 decisions at the action point. Are you holding them or are you closing them? That's it. In a calm market and a normal wobbling, I find that I'm mostly taking profits and closing positions. All right, because there's not a lot of pips, maybe 3 or 4 pips. Sometimes I'll even just trade with a 2 pip take profit. But when I'm next to a possible ride the wave, for example, you may hold a few, especially if it's the 3rd time that we've tested that price. Also, if the candle shoots past the action point, then look to hold up to the next action point. But these action points are literally telling you, take a look at the candle, take a look at the price action. And do you want to get out? Do you want to add? Do you want to hold and see if it goes to the next? These are the points you look to make your decision. Lost my spot. I got the larger profits come from this. Like I'll do a nice 0.5 to 1%, just doing an all wobble and maybe taking 2 pips. But I usually get the 1 or 2 or sometimes 3% days by really paying attention to the action points and combining that with the break even strategy, getting out at the break even so that you can reset and then letting these candles go to the action points. Because it's phenomenal as you set these positions up. You know, you get in a layer and you get in a layer and you get in a layer, and then it shoots up there back to that action point. You're cashing out on all these at the bottom that you made a little bit bigger, and you may be losing some at the top, But as it goes up, the profits really start to add. And you get to that break even spot and it goes above it. That's your money. Every time. That's your real money right there. So cutting them short, you won't get it. Practicing that we go back, James, we go back to the seat time concept. You've really got to practice that. You've got to have seat time on that. A live account, probably not a good idea to do that. Practice that in a demo. It works really well because it can let you ride the position to the next action point without fear of loss. And just do it and see what happens. I tell you, those times that it goes to it and you watch your daily return jump, it just feels really good. And it gives you that confidence in yourself that you can do this. And you already know price action. I think the gap, or at least for me, the gap was in seeing it come to fruition by letting it go to the next action point. Instead of just knowing it academically, you have to experience it. And you can do that by practicing it in a demo account. And of course, when it doesn't and it reverses, you can use your skills in the winning while losing concept, which David has a video for that too. He has a video for both of these that we can take advantage of. And we can go practice those. Those are literally the two best techniques you can have in your pocket, period. And you do those on a demo and practice those every day because you will experience those in every trading session you get into every day. And those will keep you on the green side.
Those challenges are amazing, right? If it keeps it lighthearted and fun, like, hey, I can do this, or I've got to complete this challenge, but also, of course, instilling the proper techniques, right? And I think for me, just really being able to plan ahead, right? And that's obviously through practice, but be able to plan ahead. Okay, I see this action point. If it breaks through this action point, then what am I going to do, right? And really kind of forces us to pay attention to those action points and to price action, right? And so
it really does. Okay, and this one, it kind of leads up to this one. This one is really important. Being comfortable with your positions is more valuable than I thought, because I've got a little bit of an analytical mind, not as much as I have an aggressive mind. But once, like what someone like me figured, okay, I've got this figured out. I've got this indicator. I've got all these pieces on the chessboard. So if I just move the chess pieces exactly like they're supposed to move, then I got this, right? Yeah, that's not trading at all. But finding that mental state where you're comfortable, and I'm kind of losing words for that. That's where, and I said, only the street time, back to the racing, only the seat time, only the seat time in the practice will actually give you this, because you have to have that green day. When you do things in the market, you have to have those daily returns reflected, or the confidence and the comfort never comes.
Wait, I gotta say what Nick just said. He's calling you trader from the street. I love that. And Jimmy's trader from the hood.
Yeah, we're gonna go ghetto on us, man. Now.
I'm from the
I'm out here in the country. The street's dirt.
I like that. And then Sean says, "I like street time."
Right?
Y'all gonna make me mess up. Y'all messing up my train of thought here.
No, these I love your guys' comments. Keep them coming in. They're awesome.
Those were really good. I'm gonna have to go back and read those. Some of those are really funny. Okay, but to give an example, right? I trade full time, and many people do, many people don't. It's kind of wherever you are in your journey to be a trader. But I do it full time, and I've got a lot of outside stress factors from reality that can really throw a wrench in my trading day. For example, I've got bills to pay, I've got food I've got to buy, I've got car, I've got gas, I've got insurance. We've all got this stuff, right? But I don't have the luxury of a full-time job. This has to pay for that stuff. So that's another layer of stress that can really mess with my mental game, that can really mess with my comfort zone. And so all this is profit that I have to make. And all that did was force me into trade. It pushed me into trades. And that's why I was always getting heavy, and heavy was a problem combined with my aggressive nature and a bad headspace from needing to make X amount of money to pay bills. You get heavy when you think you figured it out and you're like, okay, well, I can make this money and I can go do other stuff. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So the turning point that I had in the hot seat a couple times has shown me that I've got to calm down. I have to calm down. And last night's a great example. I hate trading at night. I wasn't calm for Jack, and Ramsey and these guys are just as calm as they could be, trading for a couple hours and turning out 2 or 3%. Not me. I'm still dealing with that. But it's still, they've got that part figured out at night. I didn't start to figure it out until the hot seat of keeping your mind calm, staying in your headspace, in your strategy for your game. And, we all know price action well enough. We all know support and resistance well enough. These are pretty simple concepts. We all know the basics of wobbling. We may be ones, not twos or not threes, but we know the basics of wobbling. To be able to pull money out of the market consistently, if we can stay calm and do the process itself. So, Nike really, really had it figured out. Just do it. Don't be thinking about all these other things. Just do it. That's really it. I had to find a way to make a headspace where that could thrive. That concept for me could thrive. I dropped the daily return goal. I try to have one like a half to one, but I don't analyze it as I'm trading anymore. And for a while, I took a piece of tape, and I would tape over the daily return and put a little Sharpie black on the tape so I couldn't see it, because it would mess with my headspace. Because if it wasn't a certain number, I wasn't going to make the car payment. That's not what you want to be thinking about when you're trading. You want to be thinking about ride the wave, retracements, supports, resistances. How many positions do I need to be in? You've got enough to think about without life. And you've got to find ways to mitigate that for yourself. But that was one of the ways that I found.
I think that's a great point, right? Is really putting the emphasis on the techniques, right? Or the things that you're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to use that because honestly, I have a lot of those stress factors, right? When I'm trading. Yeah. But I like that concept of filling up my headspace with other things that are related to my trading, right? Gotta look for, maybe covered that daily percentage, so I'm not seeing that, and that's not a factor. Looking for specific techniques, making sure I'm reminding myself that, hey, if I'm gonna, if I'm looking for a breakout, that I'm looking for those engulfing candles, or it's closing above 50% of the previous candle or low, right? Yeah. And no, I really like that. And I was going to ask you what type of techniques you're using, but you're already ahead of the game.
Well, and I got that from racing because, like, for example, if you're going 150 miles an hour and you try to turn the steering wheel, right? So 200 miles an hour is a football field a second. There's no thinking, period. Nobody can process like that. But you're in a turn 200 and you turn that steering wheel, you got to let it recenter. Well, the steering wheel is this black leather thing and it's a circle. Where in the hell is the center? So you put a piece of tape for top dead center and you have painted it red so that I knew that when I saw that red tape right there, I was centered. Good. I didn't have to think about it, because every time I was thinking about things like that, I was slowing down. And it's the same way here. Every time you think about the strategy list, for example, your mind is off the chart. You're not trading. So you put the strategy list that Cole had created, and you can make your own right there, so that you don't.
I just figured out who you were talking about.
Cole.
It's cool. Like, man,
oh,
that's
cool.
Oh, cool.
Josh, dude. I've been calling out different kinds of names, man. The same.
I was like, I kept thinking, Cole. Who's Cole?
Hey, I'm from Texas. We say
Texas.
bull.
That's all good. I just realized who you're talking about. It's just thinking about, like, hey, that's cool. He's the coolest guy that you know.
Yeah, I love his name. Cool.
It's cool. It's cool. There you go. And not Cole. I'm like, who's Cole?
There you go. There's the name right there, Josh.
Cole in the gang.
There's his real name. His real name, you probably can't pronounce it, but we'll go with Cool.
If I'm having Cool with 3 letters, don't give me the rest of
It's all good.
it. But I mean, do you see my point? Remove everything from having to think about and find some way, whether it's a Post-it, a piece of tape that covers up a number, whatever, until it becomes a part of your habit, until it's like riding a bike for you. Then you can get rid of it. Then it doesn't matter. And you can focus on converting the next thing into habit so that it's in your headspace and you're just trading. Because you don't ever want to pull away from trading. You want to stay in the zone. To steal from that guy's book, Trading in the Zone. You want to stay in the zone.
Right. Yeah. No. And is that, I mean, obviously the screen time, but do you feel that working with David, working in the hot seat, has kind of helped expedite, or I guess, that process altogether?
Yeah, because I could see it in his trading. Like he would have to stop and force himself to tell us what he's doing. Because it's already in his zone. He's doing it all the time. And he's like, wait a minute, I'm teaching people. I need to tell them what I'm doing. See, that's where that's the part where I was trying to get to, where it was just
nature. Just boom.
What is it? Muscle memory. It's just muscle memory. Like playing a piano. You're not really looking at it anymore. You're just hitting the notes because you've done it so much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So actually, I think, yep, that pretty much concludes what I have to offer tonight. I did want to close it out with a quote that I actually, this may show my arrogance a bit, but I made this quote for myself in my teenage years, and I never really let go of it. Basically, the meaning of life lies in your victories, and its understanding lies in your defeats. And I've never not known what I want out of life. So I guess I'm a little bit fortunate in that. But in motor racing, it served me well. And in trading, I believe it continues to serve me. And I love how it can apply to both, because we view profits as the meaning of trading, right? And those are our victories. But we don't really understand trading until we're defeated over and over and over and over. So I thought maybe I would share it, and hopefully it could help somebody else.
Is that your
have any
quote?
questions?
Is that your quote?
Yeah, I actually made that when I was like 18.
That's awesome. I really like it. I'm like,
because your parents are always like, "What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life?" Well, that.
So you said that when you were 18?
I was about 17 or 18.
So that was like, what, a year ago or something?
Sky says that's his new tattoo. I love it.
Nice.
Just don't put it on your toes, because you don't want to ever look down. Because I guess that's a great place, because when you're defeated, you can read it.
Right. Yeah.
So and tattoo your toes.
It's always just kept me, because you can get on cloud 9. You can make 2, 3, 5. Shoot, people are posting 10, 12% profits today. You can do that a couple of days, and you're going to be on cloud 9, and you're going to forget how you got there. And then a defeat's going to hit you. So analyze that defeat, understand it, so that you can get back.
Right. So that way you can move on, right? Once you understand it, then you have a better comprehension of being able to move on from it.
And not get defeated by it again.
Not get defeated by it again is the goal, right?
That's the goal.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, and we'll open it up definitely if there are any questions. But again, I just really appreciate you, just giving your experience with the 5 to 50K in the hot seat. I just know that with my own trading, it's really, I just feel it's for me, it's been critical, right? Because if I'm left to my own accord until I develop the skill set, right? Those techniques, and have that screen time and the repetition. I've noticed that without the instruction of Dave or Sean or another, our professional trader really guiding me there, and they have to have that ability to teach well, right? I think that's a huge difference that I've noticed.
It helps.
With the API fund and the cruise and the 5 to 50K. But it kind of helped, that until I do that, if I'm left to my own accord, then I will go to I'll fall back into those bad habits, right? I'll forget those defeats. And so, I would definitely say if one has not had information about the 5 to 50K in the hot seat, don't hesitate to reach out to get it. Or, if there's opportunity or availability and you have the means, sign up, right? I mean, I don't know anywhere else that, give you a funded account for you to be able to trade with, but also take you step by step and really care that you're developing that skill set. I just really haven't seen that anywhere else. Right. And so I would urge anybody, if you have the means or if you have questions, reach out to us. But we're trying to fill a couple, I think we've got like 5, possibly somewhere around 5 spots available. Dave, is that right? I think, I got that right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I can't work with 100 people one-on-one or else Josh is going to be mad at me, but but no, I think the concept, I mean, Josh, you told me, hey, this is what I'm thinking about teaching. I'm like, that's awesome. Right. And one of the things that you didn't share tonight, and I hope you don't, but you shared with me privately, and I'm not going to go into it if you don't want to share it, but just your difference in trading from December to January.
I have no problem sharing that. You want me to just put it on screen?
Or just talk about it, right? And I don't care, whatever, right? But I thought that was just really amazing where you had some aha moments, but yet, you've been to a lot of, you've been in our trading room in December. You've been to a lot of education. So what was it that kind of the switch flipped? Do you know what I mean? That all of a sudden you went from, December to January. And just curious, maybe if you could shed some light on your big aha moment or something like that other people who are watching this or watching the recording might be able to resonate with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was not an aha moment. It was a culmination of all of those things hitting me at the same time and me trying to make things like Post-its or tape or lists or whatever to not lose them. Because I'd kind of, I guess, known about them in the back of my head, but my hard-headedness, I'm smarter than everybody else in the world, like everybody else, and you can't tell me nothing. But when you sit there in like that hot seat and you show it and you show clear examples, like, for example, the break-even problem. You showed 4 times clear examples of that. And it was very easy for me to see, had I gotten break even there, I could have turned back into profit in the next cycles, but I didn't. So I kept managing that through 4 break even points. I could have at least profited 4 times the amount, but I couldn't because I'm managing a bad position. And it was, when you're trading on your own, it's the market's fault. Well, if the market would have gone down like I told it, I would have been profitable. But when you're doing it in like a hot seat, you're like, no, it's not the market. The market told you to break even here. You didn't. It gave you another chance. You didn't take it. You gave me another chance. You didn't take it. So it was the witnessing of it, of another person as I'm doing the trade and telling me about it.
And
it really turned it. And I can show you, like, I'll show you December and the glory that is Joshua.
Well, I think the true value in the hot seat doesn't lie in, the instructor or anything. The true value in the hot seat is the accountability that it places upon you because other people are watching you trade. I mean, how many times in Discord do people post their successes and never post their failures, right? And it's because we don't want to spotlight our weaknesses, but that's really when we learn. And that's the value in my mind of the hot seat, is that your weaknesses are exposed and you become vulnerable. And until we learn how to share our vulnerabilities, we'll never become strong.
So here is December totals. I lost 4,000 pips, lost 20% of the whole account, $2,500, right? Woo, that is great December. January, trading 3 accounts after the hot seat.
You know what I said? Wait, tell them what I said when I saw your December. You remember what I said to you when I looked at you?
Yeah, you were like, how did you screw that up? This was my best month.
Yeah, you were trading with me and we did, and every day was a winner.
Because like I just told you, I'm smarter than you. I don't know what the hell David's doing.
Yes.
And so you don't, there was a barrier that it broke that allowed me to listen, if that explains it.
Yeah. It was humble. You became humbled in December.
Pretty much.
December was your humbling month.
So, and this is Kevin's spreadsheet that I stole. January, I have the main account, the growth account, and the 5 to 50, right? And then over here, I have percentages. There's the totals. Not a single red item. I only had 3. Whoops. I only had that day. Don't talk to me about that day. I was stupid. And that day that I lost money. Now it's not $1 billion. It's 4%, 0.5% because I didn't really trade that much hardly, and 6% on the 5 to 50. But
still growth
from that. So there's the numbers.
Yeah, they don't lie.
That's awesome, and thank you for sharing. I mean, it really is. You can see your mind shift has shifted in just 30 days, right? Now, are you going to have months like this? Let's hope so. But I think that you've learned something more valuable is that when you have losing days, you're starting to get the confidence that those are days, not weeks. Do you know what I mean?
And even there's a 10%er right there. I hit the 10% risk out. The second day I traded the account. Didn't stop.
Yeah.
I took the lessons and the challenge from the hot seat. And y'all saw me post some of these. And by the time it got to the end of the month, even with a 10% hit.
So I want to get to Sky real quick. Sky has a question about mindset. So let's jump in.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Let's open up to any questions really quick.
Well, I wanted to ask, I think that one of the things you said that really makes sense is just not letting a lot of the distractions in the background about the bills and everything else get in your head when you're trading. When you're trading, you got to have like absolute focus. But one of the things that really surprised me when I started meeting the guys at the boot camps, including David, is when they sit down in the market at this point in their career, they're kind of like, I can get in anywhere. I can put me here, put me there, whatever. I can work my way out of it. And I don't want to use the word nonchalant, but it is kind of like, hey, what's up? Let's trade.
Yeah.
When you get into trading now, do you think you're at that kind of a point where you can totally let go of the stresses, or what do you do to not think about the stuff in the background and just keep focus on trading?
So no, and I'm not that strong-minded like those guys. Because I wake up realizing all my bills, all the things, because I don't have the financial freedom that I'm looking for yet to not worry about it. So I have a routine. I get up, play with the dogs, I let them out, I make my coffee, I warm up their food. Yes, I warm up my dog food and I cook. They eat better food than I do. But I go through this little morning routine to let the everything that my mind wants to focus on that's not good, all those negatives, the big rooster, let it bleed out. Kind of let the market play. I'll put up the charts. I'll let them play out so that I can glance at them and start seeing the activity without trading, and just get in a really calm mindset. Sometimes I'll go out back. I'll take my coffee out back. Not today because it's ice. But if it's like 60, 70 degrees, I'll go out back and I'll just look at the hills because it's very calming. And I've got birds back there. They calm my mind, that sort of thing. And then I let the dogs in. They eat. I have to put cheese in Blues because he's fancy and he won't just eat his food, which is frustrating. But once all that's done, and I have been watching the market for this 30-minute process, and I've kind of already got an idea of how it plays. There's some days, and I'll do it about twice a week, usually Monday to Tuesday, because I'm better on Monday and Tuesday than I am on the rest of the week. I will, just because where I want to be is what you're just talking about. I want to just open the market, click buy, because I feel like buying today, or open the market and click sell because I feel like selling. No other reason. I just feel like it. But I want to be able to capitalize on the winning while losing strategy and the break-even concept and those other techniques to be able to manage the position no matter what's going on. but I have to have that calm mindset. And it takes me a minute to get into it. And I degrade if I hit big drawdown. My mindset, I start losing that battle. So it's real important to me to hit the break even. And if I pull back from a 2, like one day I pulled back from an 8% and I hit 0.07, I quit. That was too much for me. And I traded the next day. But the next day, let me see. I think I should have it on here somewhere. Yeah, here's the 0.07. Next day, I didn't recover my mindset. And look, that right there is the damage the negative 8% the day before did to me. So I have to have that clear mindset. The next day, I chilled out. I didn't make much, but I chilled out. I went from 0.07, what was it? 0.05 to 0.03. See, I make notes so that I can figure out what I'm doing with myself. And I only made that, right? Well, the next day I felt more confident and went up to 0.05s. You can see right there, and it was CPI. So it was really volatile. It was my kind of game. It wasn't this night market that these other boys can play. It was CPI. So it was up and down, up and down, up and down at 0.05s. Pulled to 3.5. And then I started coming back. And I had to trade another account that day. But, oh no, it was a bank holiday. But I started coming back. That mindset is where that comfort zone, that mindset is where you find profit.
And I think everybody has those different techniques, right?
You've got to figure them out for yourself.
Right. For you, it sounds like, that clearing that headspace, right? Going outside, looking at the hills. For me, and I'm really starting to do this, is the same, just focusing on the different techniques, filling my brain full of the trading techniques or the things that I'm looking for that helps to push out that other noise, right? And so, but you got to find out what works for you, right?
But anything that detracts you from your focus on the candles and the trading and what you want to do, not good. Because it's pulling your mental energy of accomplishing it away.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's see. I think we have a few more moments. If anybody else has any other questions.
Hey, Josh, this is Cole.
I thought it was cool. You can't mess with me.
We're both in Texas. That's how Samoan would say it too. So Josh, in your experience, if a person that's brand new starting out this week that has that's just learning, and obviously there are probably deluge of all the stuff that's hitting them, what would you say are maybe 2 things that they could work on?
Themselves.
Okay.
Really work on yourself, because you can watch any of David's videos. You can watch any video on YouTube about price action, about support and resistance. There are a billion videos about it. You can go to Investopedia. You can go to babypips.com. You can read about it. You can study it all day. The concept is pretty simple. Put your energy on yourself. What kind of trader are you? What kind of personality do you have? What needs do you have to get out of this market to make it satisfactory? Figure out all those things. If it's like some of these guys at night who they like the smoothness of the market and that resonates with your personality, find the time the market does that and trade those times. Don't trade CPI and FOMC and all that kind of stuff. You're not going to do good. Like me, I go freaking nuts at night and I lose 2.5%, 3% at night. These guys are making 3 because it's calm, because that's not who I am. I had to figure out who I was. And I like stress, apparently. I like stress. But you figure out who you are. It's back to the race car driving. You train yourself as a driver, you train yourself as a trader, you'll win more consistently. See, I had a 298 horsepower Mustang and I was undefeated by Porsche, and those guys had 300, 600, 800 horsepower. Couldn't touch me. I had 300 horsepower and was a 4-wheeler, they called me, because I'm like this high off the ground. They're like this high off the ground. But I spent my money on me. They spent their money on the car. So learn the strategies, learn the techniques, learn the tools of the trade, but learn you.
All right. Well,
thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Just really quick, I want to get James had a question. Which markets, or have you identified specific markets that work best for you? I might have murdered that, James. So go ahead and ask the question. If you
yeah, that's fine. Thanks, James. Appreciate that. So I'm, you talked about David and the headspace that him and some of the other more successful traders tend to be in when they just step into the chart and they start trading, right? And then you described your process, your morning process that really, I mean, you really do have a ritual that you have to go through to find that cleans that space, right, where you can actually focus into the chart. I'm curious, have you noticed in this transition from last month, from December to January, have you noticed a market that seems to favor how you trade in this particular point in time?
I have not explored the other markets. I typically do Euro USD.
No. I don't mean it like that. Like,
okay.
I don't care about the pair per se. I'm talking about the behavior of the market at the time that you're trading it. Like David, he posted something the other day, and I never did dig into it deep enough. But he did, I think it was a 4% day, and he did it in this little bitty window. And he said, this is one of my favorite. This is where I trade best. And I'm curious if you've noticed areas where you trade best. Like, I'm noticing about myself. But when it moves away from me, I have moments where I'm peeling really well, and then moments where I'm still holding on to it. Like you said, I've packed the baggage, like I'm holding on to those trades and I'm going on the journey with it. It's like, what the hell am I doing? But I have began to identify markets where I feel really comfortable doing this back and forth. I don't really do a full out wobble, but I have noticed areas where I am particularly strong in. And so now I talked with David earlier today. So now I'm the next 30 days, I'm really committed to just working through this personal bias that I seem to be holding on to.
Yeah, I actually have. And that is a really good point that you bring up, to find out these markets that you like. So I thought I'd pull up Euro USD from earlier today, right?
Awesome.
And obviously I was trading this area because I'd marked it out. I really like this guy. And then setting up for ride the waves, and okay, that's a W, and I rode this up, right? I mean, this was a good market for me to play. I got out here because I start to get too much energy on the high side. You screw up.
Right.
But I was up, and so I quit. But I like this kind of. I mean, it's some movement going on. I like this kind of stuff. It's movement going on. This kills me.
Right.
This will add this right here. I'm okay. I traded this and profited, I think 0.4, because it was just a lot. It was FOMC, and there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's some big moves. Yeah.
I did not catch the wave because I was just sniping. Which I
right.
It's like little pieces of candy out of the market. It's an enjoyable thing that I do, that I've identified and I know. Had I been good enough to catch the wave, yes, I would have done it, but I wasn't. I was actually wrong and ended up giving the 0.4% back. But I was trying to wait for the Fibonacci, right? And this is all I got, right here. And now it's just, it's, I don't know what this is. And I don't like it. So I don't trade.
That's a great point right there, Josh. So I don't know what that is. So when you're looking at a chart, I'm curious, do you ever look at a chart and say, I don't know what that is? So you literally sit on your hands.
I will start hunting other markets. I'll go to pairs.
Got it.
And see if I see something that I like. But I also have to remember they're not Euro USD. Like if I go to the pound USD, it's a lot.
You can't trade that quite the same, not as quickly anyways. Yeah.
They have
a lot more
volatility.
Their price cycles are a lot larger. So you got to manage your risk better. You got to give them less trades. You got to lower your position size. You got to do all those kind of things. But that's okay, because it may be a market I can read and I'm comfortable with and I like and I can have fun.
Nice.
But if I open the gate and I see that, this is what happens.
Well, I like how
Okay,
you
I'll
said,
see you later.
yeah. I really like how you, and that's a great question, James.
It is.
Because I think that we all can kind of identify with there's particular market conditions, right, that we all favor, right? And understanding those, I think, is an opportunity for growth, right? Saying,
Right.
hey, I heavily favor consolidation periods in the market, but man, I'm not that great when it starts to break out, or positioning myself for that breakout for a ride the wave. So not only does it give us the opportunity to say, hey, this is where I'm strong, but also, okay, it points out, okay, I can get better with this type of market condition.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
And I think that's a big thing that Dave and the crew do, right?
Right. So I just want to thank you for your share today, Josh.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully it was useful.
Oh, come on, dude. Please.
it's your
don't play that card. It was useful. Okay?
I'm giving up my position. Josh is now the new instructor.
Yeah.
Do I get your returns? Yeah, I'll take advantage of their returns.
Yeah, you did a great job, Josh. I think I hope, and I'm pretty confident that everybody here has found value in what you're saying. And the number one thing that I found value in is that you're saying it, because sometimes, and I'm putting myself into 5 years, 10 years ago as a trader, when I was just starting out, I would listen to Sean, I'd listen to Nate, listen to Todd, and they would say it, but it wasn't as impactful to me until I heard it from somebody, from my own peer, right? From somebody in who's going through it myself, right? And so that's what
$2,500 in a month,
right? And because it's like I would say, oh well, that's just Sean, right? Or that's just Sean. But now you can't say that when Josh is presenting to you and it's like, look, he's had an aha moment. He has been. Last month, he is where you're at, and his trading has changed. Now, the next step is in your progress is making sure that that's consistent. Do you know what I mean? And not having the emotional swings when you have a bad day or when you have a good day. Just keep it consistent. Kind of like that video that I dropped. If you guys haven't seen it, on Monday for the motivation, right? If you have a losing day, pick yourself back up and start over. And if you have a winning day, stay humble. You know what I mean? And so yep. I really appreciate that it's coming from your voice and not from somebody that you would expect it to come from, if that makes sense. So I appreciate it, Josh. Very, 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 very well done.
Well, you're welcome. You provided us an environment where we can feed off each other. And like last night, I was not happy. I posted like a negative 3% loss, and everybody else was doing really good. So I kind of went to bed depressed a little bit, right? This morning, I was even sending, hey, let's do this. Are y'all ready to trade? Y'all ready to get in? And they fed on me, or they fed that energy back to me, and it allowed me to get back into that headspace and make about half of it back today. So thanks for providing an environment, a community that we can feed on each other.
Yeah, I think it's really coming along nicely. I mean, some of you guys who are here have seen it from day one, so it's coming along. So I appreciate you guys for embracing the community and keeping it going for sure. So.
The virtual hug, right?
Oh.
No, but it's a fantastic group. It's a fantastic program. So I'm going to state it once again. If you need more information, or if you haven't had a chance to check out the 5 to 50 crew, the Apiary Challenge, go to our YouTube, subscribe to the Trade the Fun Challenge, or to Trade the Fun channel. Get in contact with anybody that's already with us. We'd love to. We do have some more spots available for people who want to get involved. And again, we're all in this together, and I think that's not something that you're going to find anywhere else, for sure. So,
thank you, Jimmy, James. I always call you Jimmy. You're my Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm your Jimmy. Nice.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and let's do it again this next Wednesday. Huh? So.